everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Andrew Townsend. I'm an e-learning evangelist with eLearning Brothers. Today we're going to be talking about this new exciting product made by eLearning Brothers in the game agency. We're bringing you the Training Arcade. And so you'll learn more about what that entails and what is inside the Training Arcade. This webinar will be recorded, so you'll get a copy of it in your email. We'll also be posting it online, this webinar online, a little while later. Today we have Kara Kono and Richard Lowenthal with the Game Agency with us today. Thank you so much for being here with us. If anybody has questions during the webinar, please do use the questions panel. I see some of you are already checking in, and then you know how to use that. We'll try to get to as many of those questions as we can. We're going to have an opportunity to take those questions at the end, but we'll try to answer those throughout the webinar as well. Just so you know, one of the things we like to do after the webinar is try to follow up as soon as possible. Sometimes it's just to get feedback. Most of the time we want to touch base and find out if you have one-on-one clarification that is needed after the fact. So, without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn the time over to you, Richard, and I will make you the presenter now.
Thank you so much, Andrew. And I have to say that I am so excited to be here today. We have been working at the Game Agency for over 18 months on this Training Arcade, and today is the very first day. It's the world premiere of the self-service game authoring tool. So this is going to enable all of the instructional designers out there, all of the human resource managers, to make your own awesome games, and we are so proud to be doing this and having this premiere be in conjunction with our partners, the eLearning Brothers. So thank you to ELB and the entire ELB community. So today we are going to have a 30-minute demo. We want to be very respectful of your time, and so we're going to compress this. I'm going to talk really, really fast. We're going to talk about the problem, why this Training Arcade even exists. We're going to have and show you the solution of the four benefits of the Training Arcade. Most importantly, as fast as possible, we're going to get this over to Kara Kono, our amazing senior game producer, and she's going to give you a demo of the Training Arcade. We are going to have 5 minutes of Q&A, and then real quick, we're going to be in Vegas with ELB. We're going to be in booth 729 next week at DevLearn, so if you have any questions, if you're going to be in Vegas, please stop by, learn more. Love to see you there. Now, as you may have seen in your email, if you attend this and are here for the entire webinar, you are going to be entered into a sweepstakes for a one-year subscription to the Training Arcade for one of the games. It's a $1,000 value, so please stay throughout the entire webinar. It's only 30 minutes, and then you'll be entered into this sweepstakes, and one lucky winner. We'll find out from Andrew a couple hours from now who was the randomly selected winner. All right, so why are we here? So really quickly, attention deficit. If you're like me, your attention span has probably plummeted over the last few years. So instructional designers out there, you have only 8 seconds to grab an employee's attention, and you can only really keep it for 5 minutes. Use games to extend and expand that amount of time. But remember, have a very limited amount of time. And remember, right now today, the average employee is overwhelmed with emails and texts and G-chats, and they're changing their tasks over 21 times an hour. So you've got to remember that as you're building out your instructional design, how are we going to keep them focused? And let's not forget about forgetting. 80% of material that is passively delivered through videos or through any kind of slideware will be forgotten within 24 hours. So that's another one of our big problems. And unfortunately, 90% of all new skills that we need our employees to know is lost within a year. So how are we going to conquer that? Well, for best practices, I always turn to Michael Allen. And he has his new book. It is the Guide to eLearning, the 2nd edition. It is a must-read. If you haven't gotten it, go to Amazon, get the book. You must read it. So he says in his book, performance improvement, which we're all trying to do, requires a combination of knowledge, performance, practice, and rewards. And the Training Arcade is specifically designed to help us meet those goals. So the Training Arcade is here to help you drive your learners' retention up to the 75 to 90% mark. And we've given you, the tool to build these games really easily, and it'll only take minutes. The 4 things that the Training Arcade will enable you to do for your employees is the following 4. The first one is you're going to give your employees a place to practice what they just heard or read. And it is in the practice, ladies and gentlemen, where the learning actually occurs. The second thing is about creating an emotional connection. It is critical to have your learners have a positive emotional connection with your learning. So you need to achieve the 3 M's that Dr. Allen speaks about. You want to have a meaningful, a memorable, and a motivational experience with the learner. And the Training Arcade does exactly that. The third thing is creating deep assessments. Most of you are creating knowledge checks and overall assessments that consist of 5, maybe 10 questions. Well, with the Training Arcade, you're going to actually be able to build awesome games that will keep your learners so engaged that you're going to actually ask them 30, 40, maybe even 50 questions about a particular topic. And in so doing, not only are you going to be able to assess what they know at a much deeper level, you're also going to have them practicing on all those details. Last but very much not least, Kara, in just a couple minutes, is going to show you the analytics dashboard where you're going to be able to, at your fingertips, be able to see the data that came out of these games. You're going to be able to understand, what did my learner really absorb? What do they know? And you're going to be able to intervene at both the individual level and at the group level. And you're going to be able to optimize your learning based on that information and even be able to find out where are my superstars so I can perhaps promote those folks. Now, real quick, the subscription is inexpensive. We heard you. We know that budgets are tight these days. So we have an introductory price of $1,000 per game type per ID per year. But most importantly, there are an unlimited number of game versions that you'll make for each game type for an unlimited number of employees. 3 fun facts. First, these games are SCORM compliant. There is a single sign-on that we have created with ELB for your community. And all of our games play well with e-learning authoring tools. That is to say, you can embed them. So now I'm going to do the most important thing, which is hand over this baton to Kara Kono so she can show you the Training Arcade and the game authoring tool. Kara?
All right. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here, and I'm sharing my screen here. And so as Richard was saying today, the idea behind the Training Arcade is that anyone can create a game. You don't need any kind of programming or art background. It's super easy to create a game and publish it out to any number of users. We currently have 3 games available in our Training Arcade, with more coming in our pipeline, and all of our games are created with training in mind. So for each of our game, we take a fun and addicting mechanic and integrate questions and assessments in with the game, so that the better the users do on the questions, the better they do in the game, and that the higher they score on the leaderboard. So users are rewarded for their knowledge and their improvement over time in a fun and exciting way. So the first game the game that I will demo for you today is called Match, and this game has been customized using the Training Arcade, and we have this theme of U.S. national parks. So I will get started here. Each game starts out with registration, just asking for the user's name and email address, and this is how we track how the user performs in the game. Then we go through the instructions, and this game is very easy to learn. You'll probably recognize the mechanic when you see it, but there are, in this game, you're trying to match 3 similar icons or more in a row to clear them from the board. And as the user is playing, they will have the opportunity to answer questions that will allow them to earn power-ups that will help them out as they're playing. So as we're getting started here, each level starts out with some pre-game questions. So in this example here, I'm asked which of these animals used to inhabit the Badlands National Park. So I'll select these 3. And I got that question correct, so now I've earned this power-up here. And once I start playing the game, I can use this power-up. So which national park had the most visitors in 2016? I'll say Yosemite, and I got that one wrong, so I didn't get this power-up. But I did get that one, so I've unlocked this, and I can use this now as I'm playing. So once I start playing the game, I have 30 seconds to make as many matches as I can, and I'm just trying to match 3 or more in a row. And some of these questions here some of these tiles have questions on them, and if I match these, I have another opportunity to win another boost, and if I answer this question correctly. So which president created the first national park? Try him. I got that question correct, so now I've earned another boost. And so I have 14 seconds left. when I click on this boost, it clears all of the tiles around it, so I can keep matching and just trying to get high score here. So let's see, continue matching, 1 second left. Okay, so now I've finished this level. I have a score of 3,200 points. I answered 2 out of the 3 questions correctly, and from here I can keep playing on. So after each level continues on like this, where you get some pre-game questions, you get some in-game questions, and after I've completed the game, I can see how I performed on the leaderboard. So this is a game that I played earlier today. I have a rank of 22. My score is 8,100, so I haven't placed in the top 10. So as a user now, I see all my colleagues here in the top 10. I want to replay and get a higher score so that I can place in this top 10. So this, clients have had a lot of success with using this leaderboard. It really encourages replayability, and each time the user is replaying and trying to do better, they're learning the content, they're getting to practice with the content and in a fun and engaging way. So that's our match game. So now that I've demoed the game, I'll show how this game is set up under the hood. So this is our Trading Arcade CMS site, and it's super easy to set up a game. If you have your content ready, you can put in your questions and have the game up and running in 5-10 minutes. But we also have areas that you can customize if you really want to make this game unique for your employees. So I'll just walk through some of these fields that you can customize. The first area is game information, so you can select which game you want to play. I have this game set to match, but we also have a word scramble game, a jump game, and more games coming soon. So here you choose what game type you want. You give a name to your game, which is how you'll find it in the analytics dashboard and in the games area. And then you get to generate a URL. So this is the website where your employees will play the game. You can customize this URL for your particular company. So this one we have pga.tradingarcade.com, but when you sign up through ELB, you can choose your own domain, so you have a custom URL that your users can play at. We also have different game settings that vary from game to game. So for this particular game match, we can set how long each level should be. So this one I have set for 30 seconds to the demo, but you can make it longer, you can make it shorter. You can set how many levels you want. For this demo, I only have 2 here, but you can have up to 10 levels in this game. You can set how many pre-game questions you want per level. So I had 2, you can have up to 4, you can have only 1. You can set how many questions you want to appear while the user is playing the game. And so these are all just game variables that you can tweak. If you don't want to bother with it, there's defaults that are preset for you, but you do have some control over that. We also are SCORM compliant, so here you can set what % of questions must the user get correct in order to pass. So when the user hits that threshold in the game, we'll send a message to SCORM saying this user passed the course, and you can set anything from 0 to 100 here. There is an option to show the leaderboard on Game Over, so this has been really good for our clients in terms of encouraging replayability, but if you don't want to show it, you can always hide it. There's an option to randomize the question, so if you want them to appear in a certain order, you can leave this unchecked, or if you just want them to appear to the user randomly each time they're playing, you can check this off. User registration, this is that first screen we saw, which is how we track how users are performing. We have 2 required fields of first name and email address, but if you want to collect other information on your employees, you can ask for last name, you can ask for phone number, you can ask for employee ID. All these fields are optional. The next section here is an information pop-up. So this is another optional field. You can leave it blank if you want, or if you want to give your employees some context for the game, you can fill this in here. So, why am I playing this game? What's the content? How many questions do I need to get correct to pass? Any info that you want to put here, this will pop up in the game before they start playing. The next area of customization is the theme. So the game that I just demoed has this origami theme, but you could also change it to be, this is an underwater theme. So the mechanic is exactly the same as the origami theme, it just looks different. So it's just whatever aesthetic you prefer. There's also different background tracks, so each theme has a default background track, but you can take a listen to all the songs, whichever one you like best you can choose, or if you don't want any music, you can also select no track here. And then I'll switch this back to this. So then in this area here, you can customize the splash screen of how you want the game to first appear to your employees. So if you want to upload your company logo, you can upload an image, which will appear in this top area. You can put some text if you just want to write your company name in. For the game title, we have used our own title here. We call this U.S. National Parks in text, but you can also use the default image, which will just have our default logo. Each game has a default logo. Or if you have an artist on your team and you do want to upload your own game logo, you can do that here. You can also replace this background entirely with your own. If you want to design your own screen, you can totally replace this background. So this is all the basic game information that you set up before starting to play. And then the next tab here is where you fill in your content. So this particular game has 13 questions, but there's no limit. You can put, we have clients who have up over 50 questions in the game, so you can really go deep with your content more than just the typical 3 to 5 questions that you might ask after some learning content. So and it's pretty easy to set up these questions. So I'll show you some of our question types. So we have 3 question types: multiple choice, multiple select, and image match. So for multiple choice, it's pretty straightforward as it sounds. You have ask a question. There's between 2 and 4 possible answers, which only one of them can be correct. So you have the option to upload an image, as we've done here. You don't have to, but this adds some visual flair to the question. You can upload an audio file if you want some voiceover to play with the question, or if you want to ask a question about a certain music or sound effects file, you can upload audio here. You type in your question, you type in your answers, and then you check off here which one should be correct. And you can also randomize these answers so that each time the user sees the question, they're in a different spot so that people aren't memorizing just where things are. And we have 4 answers here, but you could have less. If you wanted to do a true or false multiple choice, you could just have 2 and write true and false, and then mark whichever one is correct. So that is multiple choice question type. We also have multiple select, which has all the same options as multiple choice. You can still upload your own image. You can upload an audio file. You ask your question and you have your answers. But in this case, you can have more than one correct answer. So this one, out of the 4 choices, 3 of them are correct. And the last question type that we have is image match. So image match question, again, has the ability to upload a main image. You have the ability to upload audio. You write your question in text, but then you have the option to, instead of writing text for your answers, you can upload different images. So in this one, which 2 presidents have the most national park sites named after them? We have these 4 images, so the user can click on which ones are correct. So this one has 2 correct images, and that's how it will appear in the game. So these questions, you can collapse them, you can add new ones here, so it's pretty easy to set up and get those questions out there. Then after you've put all your content in, you can hit save here and tab on over to the publish tab, and you'll see the URL where users can access your game. You click copy, and it's on your clipboard. You can email it out, you can put it in a newsletter, you can put it into a training course that you already have set up, and there's no limit to the number of users that can play it, so it's very easy to get it out there. And we're also integrated with SCORM, so once users start playing, you can download the zip file for SCORM and upload it to see how people are performing in the game. And so then once the game has been set up and it's out in the wild and people are using it, you can click on the Analytics tab to see how your employees are performing. And so this is where you can really put the Training Arcade to use. So you have an important course out there and you want to see how people are doing both on the individual level and the group level. And our Analytics area will show you that data. So this area here, player stats, show you the full list of people who've played the game, their name, their email address, their rank, their high score, how many sessions they've played, what their average session duration is, how many questions they got correct, how many questions they got incorrect, and the total number of questions that they've answered. And so if you can, all of these fields are filterable. So if I want to look at, who's really understanding this content, I can see here that Eric has 88% of the questions answered correctly. So he's really doing well. He understands this content. Where if I click on over to the next page here, we have Kim, who's only answered 33% of the questions correct. So we've kind of identified maybe there needs to be an intervention with Kim. Maybe she is struggling with this and needs some extra training. And on the flip side, maybe we didn't realize Eric had these skills in this area or really understood this content. Helps identify certain learning behaviors. So maybe we can give Eric more assignments in this area since he's really showing a strong grasp of this knowledge. And you can also see a more granular level of how users are performing. So this employee here has, when you click into this employee, you can see that they've played 4 sessions. And you can see a marked improvement here each time they play. The first time this user played, they only got 14% of the questions correct. The next time they got 50%, the next time 71%, the next time 85%. So the more they're playing, the more they're engaging with the content, they're learning that information and improving. And you can also click into this question tab, which shows how that particular user performed on the individual questions. So for this first question, this user got it wrong the first time they tried it, and then correct the next time they tried it. So you can see how many attempts it takes for these users to get the answer correct. So the player stats area is really helpful. It can be filtered out. You can check different areas, check by different date ranges, and see how people are performing. We also have this area here, question stats, which lets you see how your content is performing as a whole. So what are your employees learning? What is the content that they're taking away? So for instance, we have a full list of questions asked in this game. We can see how long each employee was on the screen for, how long did it take them to answer, what percent of employees got this question right, what percent of employees got this question wrong, how many attempts overall, and then how many attempts it took them to get this question right. So we can see from this, for this first question, only 29% of people get this question correct. So as a designer, an instructional designer, we can look at this and say, maybe this is an area where the team is struggling and we need to put some additional training toward this topic area, or maybe the question is worded in a confusing way and it needs to be adjusted. So you can make edits to the game in real time and publish it out, and then you can also filter by date up here. So if you do make any changes, you can see how people have performed once those edits are made. So this analytics area is definitely helpful in terms of seeing what's being learned and what's being understood by your employees. So this is the gist of the training arcade, and we can open it up to questions now.
Sure. Yeah, Kara, there's a lot of extremely excited feedback here, and we've got quite a few questions about this side. First of all, since you're looking at the analytics, where are these analytics found? Are they found on eLearning Brothers servers? Are they found on the businesses servers? Where can these be accessed?
So this is just a web URL, and it'll be whatever domain that people set up when they sign up through eLearning Brothers. They'll be able to log into this site. They'll be able to add new games, check analytics. So in real time, they can come back and just log into this site, and it will be through their ELB login. So it does go through ELB, and they can come in and log in at any time to check it out.
Okay, great. Another question is about the leaderboard. Can you adjust the leaderboard so the player can only see their own high scores, or is it always for the full team?
If you hide the leaderboard, you'll see your own high score. You won't see a rank, but it will say, great job, so-and-so, here's what you scored. And so you can try to beat your own personal score if you don't want to see what everybody else is doing. But you could definitely see your own score after each play and how you performed and how many questions you got correct.
Okay, another question is, there are a lot of questions here. Do you have games that have different levels or ways you could group questions by subject, or mix the subjects together and then at the end have analytics for both separately?
Yeah, there's a couple of different approaches that you can take to that. One is you can always label your question by topic type and group them as you're setting them up. There's also, once you have an account, you can create an unlimited number of games. So you could, make one game about this subject area, one game about another subject area, and then, compare the analytics between the two. So you could even do a split test if you wanted to test out the content in different ways with different games. There's no limit to the number of games you can set up. And this is just our test account, but you can see we have tons of games here. You can check the analytics individually by game, but if you want to keep it all in one game, you can also just label your questions as you're setting them up to group that content.
Also, Andrew, can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Hi, in the match 3 game, which Kara just showed, there are individual levels as well, so you could have the first set of questions be just about geography, and the next set could be about onboarding, whatever it is. So for the match 3 game, we have distinct levels for that game.
Okay, great. Back to the leaderboards. Someone wants to know if you can delete people from the leaderboard. For example, if you have a test account or something like that you want to remove from that leaderboard.
You could definitely. Right now, we don't have that feature. We could add it in. We could, if there's someone that needs to be removed, we could contact customer service and we could do that for you.
Yeah.
Okay, there's lots of questions that are basically saying the same thing here. The question is, how do I utilize this game in my project? How can I get it from here into my course?
Yeah, so you can integrate these games with whatever programs you're using. So Captivate, Lectora, you can embed these as a web object in the course, and we'll have some tutorials up soon of kind of how you can do that. But it's a web link, so you could also just send it out to users, have them go here, or build them into whatever structure you're currently using.
Okay. Let's see. How long does it take to develop and deploy a basic game?
Yeah, it could just be 5 minutes once your content is ready. We have a lot of defaults, so you could just type in your questions. If you have them ready, hit save, and then click the link, and it happens automatically. And any edits you make to your game will also happen automatically. So it's very fast to set up. And all the games are already built with this art, so there's no development time.
And by the way, Kara, if you could take 5 seconds and just show everyone how they can export the games into a SCORM package, because that SCORM package will allow you to just quickly embed them into your e-learning offering.
Sure. So if you have, just go back here. So yes, you just download these here, and it'll download as a file, and then you can upload these through your SCORM Cloud account or however you're using this, but it's definitely easy to click this and upload it through SCORM that way. And we have 2 different versions depending on which one you're using.
And that's for your LMS deployment. So.
Excellent. There's lots of other questions about the games themselves, but we're running out of time here. What I want to tell you guys, and I'm going to go ahead and send the screen back over to you, Richard. What I want to tell you guys is we want to give you demos. We want to show you all of this stuff, and it's difficult to do this when we're trying to make it public for everyone, and not everybody has a lot of time. So we've put the information there on the screen. You can visit thetrainingarcade.com. You can schedule a demo on the phone or email at info@elearningbrothers.com. If you already have a connection at ELB, give them a call. Reach out to them. They'll be happy to walk you through this. Richard, do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Just real quick, so you can have, right now, the game that we've launched today, and call your ELB account executive right now, and you can have the keys to your Trainer Arcade and be up and running tomorrow. So thank you very much. Big thanks to Andrew. Thank you, Kara, and really appreciate the partnership with ELB.
It's going to be great. It's very exciting. We're excited about this product. So please do reach out to us. Schedule these demos. We're happy to get your questions answered. Send an email, info@elearningbrothers.com, and we'll do everything we can. Thank you again, Kara and Richard, for being with us today. And we'll talk to you guys all later. Have a good one.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.